Hey, welcome back to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, and trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so you can easily choose the best watch for yourself in the comfort of your own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you'd like to know the price, simply click on the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate if you purchase your next watch from us at JazzTime.com. Today we'll be hitting you up with the comparison video, the Jumbo versus the Jumbo-er, sort of, or is it? The Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo Extra Thin, entirely in 18 karat pink gold, glare-proofed sapphire crystals on the front and back with a blue petite tapisserie pattern. Reference number 15202OR.00.1240OR.01. Now this watch is currently about 50 years old in its design. It has maintained its design from being the very first Royal Oak ever made and designed. Arguably the very watch to be created to save the mechanical watch industry from the quartz crisis. There we go. Nice in focus there. It currently retails at just over double that of the steel version, as well as the modern updated steel counterpart, the 15500 ST, which I have here in steel again. Black dial, grand tapisserie pattern, reference number 15500ST.00.1220.ST.03. Now, for the sake of brevity, I'll refer to the 15202 as the Jumbo and the 15500 as the modern Royal Oak. All right, so we'll be going over the cases, the bezels, dials, the crown functions, movements, and the bracelets themselves, and I'll be giving you my thoughts on all of these as we progress throughout the video. All right, so now looking at the cases, for the Jumbo, we have 39 millimeters in diameter, 8.1 millimeters thick, 48.5 millimeters lug to lug, with a maximum span of 51.5 millimeters. As you can see, the bracelet does flare out, so it does give you, a little bit of extra width there, or height of the watch on the wrist. All right. So it also has the glare-proof sapphire crystals on the front and back, with the water resistance totaling to 50 meters. Now, again, this is a pink gold construction, best used at special events or important meetings where flexing your watch collection would be more important. Now, whereas compared to the 15500, the modern, it has a 42 millimeter diameter, a little bit larger there, 10.4 millimeters thick, 2 millimeters thicker than the Jumbo, 50.3 millimeters lug to lug, so about 1.5 millimeters taller, with a maximum span of 52 millimeters. Not that much larger, just a half millimeter larger, but still bigger than the Jumbo. All stainless steel construction, potentially more desirable as an everyday wear watch. It has the glare-proof sapphire crystal on the front and back, although I did keep the protective plastic casing on here, just to keep this nice and fingerprint free. All right. Again, water resistance down to 50 meters. Now, taking a look at the bezels here, it's better to appreciate, well, it's easier to appreciate them side by side. Now, looking at the Jumbo, it has a pink gold construction, again, satin brush finishing on the front, hide polish along the bevel for the separation of how you can see the different levels of the watch when glancing at it face on. 8 hexagonal screws with the slots facing concentrically, using that Gestalt law of closure as I mentioned in the review video for this one, so that your mind sort of fills in that space along the screws to, be one continuous circle. It also helps that they're held within the entire circle of that bezel, rounded octagonal on the outside, perfectly circular on the inside. We have the same exact look as on the modern, although stainless steel. Only 2 millimeters larger in its diameter. Its internal diameter also measures about 2 millimeters larger than that of the Jumbo. So as a result, the hex screws do look a little bit larger due to the thinner profile of the visible satin brush face. Again, Gestalt theory of closure there as well, working with the screw heads on there. All right, now looking at the dial here, the Jumbo, no seconds hand. Is that a game changer or is it a deal breaker? Well, this is the original design. All right, so it also has the petite tapisserie pattern, smaller than that of the grand tapisserie, as seen on the more common and modern Royal Oak. So you get an even finer experience when it comes to being able to see that gouache patterning on the dial, which ultimately gives it that sunray or sunburst type of look. Also, the blue is a boutique exclusive, generally more desirable, more difficult to make just right, therefore fewer units are made and therefore available. And something you'll also notice immediately on the dial, if you're accustomed to modern Royal Oak designs on the right here is the separation of the Audemars Piguet logo. Letter form placed at the 6 o'clock while the word mark is kept at the 12 o'clock. I presume it's for spacing reasons, but that I'll mention in a moment, but I'd like to hear your interpretation of the matter. Let us know down in the comments below why you think they separated the logo here, the word mark, from the letter form. Very interesting decision, but I actually quite like it because it really accentuates that 18 karat gold letter form portion. You're really helping it to stand out greatly against that cool blue of that dial. But keep in mind that this is a rare occurrence in the graphic design world. Breaking up a logo almost literally in half and flipping it upside down in terms of its elements and overall visual weight. The minute track is in line with the outer edges of the index hour marks. They're white, painted on lines only to be interrupted by large 18 karat pink gold applied index hour marks with luminescent coating. Again, we have the Gestalt law of closure to make yet another circle, but this time directly on the dial. And the minute hand actually gently brushes up against the inside of this minute track, lending to the thoughtfulness and purposefulness of every aspect of this original Royal Oak design. Date window at the 3 o'clock isn't anything terribly new, rightfully so. It was part of the original design. The Arabic text here is a bit more relaxed. It's generally rounded in its appearance. Let me get a number here that shows the roundedness. All right, so the 12, or rather 13. A little bit more on the function later in this video as to why I have to do this so slowly, all right? So there we go. It has a little bit more of a rounded look in its nature, whereas when compared to the AP Modern, all right, we'll be getting into this in a moment, but let's go to the same number there, okay? So, all right, we'll be getting to that in just a moment, but all right, so take a look at the date number there. The Arabic numerals are more rounded in general and more relaxed, and so it has an overall, conveys a more retro yet simpler feel. The background is also the shade of blue that matches the darkest portions of the dial, really helping it to fit in and allowing that white Arabic text to really shine forth very easily. And speaking of shining forth, let us turn out the lights and see how the luminescence works here. All right, so bright green luminescence there, the double hash marks, the double index marks for the 12 o'clock with properly loomed minute and hour hands. Nothing too spectacular there, but considering this is the original Royal Oak design, you can't really shake a finger at that, or a stick, or rather, whatever you want to call it. All right, so taking a look at the dial overall, is this dial actually larger when compared to the modern Royal Oak? Well, the short answer here is no. And we're still stuck wondering what makes the Jumbo Jumbo. All right, so taking a look at the modern, we have the seconds hand there with a Royal Oak sort of counterweight to it. Very cohesive in its overall look. It has the ground tapisserie pattern, much easier to see the texture due to its slightly larger size, and you do still get that radiant sunburst effect even on this black dial thanks to that guilloche patterning, very finely etched in there onto that grand tapisserie texture there. It's black and therefore easy to manufacture dial, much easier to find outside of the boutiques and therefore easier to obtain. Also, the highest possible contrast. Audemars Piguet logo is actually kept together and tucked in just under the 12 o'clock position, making for generally top-heavy overall visual composition. Not that that's a bad thing. All right. The minute track is actually outside of the hour track, and the minute hand does not actually reach it, but the seconds hand does, making this double as both a minute and seconds track. And as a byproduct, there's more visual space among the 18 karat gold white gold index hour marks, which do appear thicker, but still have more visual space among them due to the separation of the minute and seconds track, and also their shorter lengths. And we still do have the Gestalt law of closure, but it's not quite as strong as seen in the Jumbo. And this gives us more white space, however, and in terms of design, you have more breathing room for all of the elements on this watch face to maintain their individual importance. The date window at the 3 o'clock is very much the same in its position, at least, though it is no longer part of the minute and seconds track. It's held within that track, as you can see. All right. And also keep in mind, the font of these numbers is actually more rectangular in appearance, monospaced, almost monospaced. A bit colder in presentation as it's more angular, less relaxed, but as such it stands rigid and to me sort of exudes strength, rigidity, you know, overall just better form, more modern form. All right, the background is a matching black for maximum contrast and readability. And taking a look at the luminescence here, you get the same sort of effect, a bright green, although you do get more luminescence as it is thicker in appearance. Now, holding these two side by side, the modern does have thicker luminescence and it does tend to actually last a little bit longer, although not by much. That's because you have more area on each of these index markings, as well as the hour and minute hands there, whereas the jumbo, it's more thin, a little bit more smaller in terms of its area, and therefore it does not hold the luminescence quite as easily or quite as long, but it's a very, very minute point. You won't tell the difference when you have them, you know, separated from each other. You can only really see it when they're right next to each other. All right, again, crown functions, I went over the jumbo just a little bit. It's a pull crown, largely due to the legacy and therefore outsourced movement that was originally built but never actually used by Jaeger-LeCoultre, as you can see here, the 2121. All right, and the date adjustment, again, there's no quick set feature, so you actually have to move it between 10:30 and midnight to advance it forward. Some say that, you know, this is actually quite a very good function, you know, as there's less of a chance of, you know, potentially damaging the movement. You only really need to move one thing and everything else just follows suit. But, you know, this, at the cost, you do get that, you know, having to play around with your watch for quite a bit to advance the date forward. All right, so keep that in mind when you're shopping around for the jumbo. Now, in comparison to the modern, we have the screw down crown. All right, so I feel that this actually has more water resistance because you have that extra, you know, peace of mind knowing that there's a physical movement that you actually have to do with the crown to unscrew it. All right, so unscrew it to the first position. This allows you to wind the watch very easily, whereas on the jumbo, you're already at the first position, so you can just wind it directly. Very easy there. All right, this one has an extra step of unwinding the crown. Pull out to the next position and you can just advance the date with that quick set feature. Very easy. All right, so if you find yourself a time traveler, well, this one would be the choice to go to. It's about a quarter turn, somewhere between a quarter and a half turn actually, to advance the date by one. Not all that hard. Pull out to the final position. There's a hacking seconds function, very useful on this one, so you have a more precise readout of the time, and you can also precisely place that minute hand and just set it to an atomic clock, press the crown back in, and screw it tightly against the case to ensure that stronger, I feel stronger, 50-meter water resistance. All right, so what makes all of this work? All right, so on the jumbo, we have the self-winding manufacturer caliber 2121, again, built from the movement, originally known as the Jaeger-LeCoultre 920, but, you know, Audemars Piguet have purchased and secured the rights to this movement, so it's now technically an in-house made movement. Diameter 28.4 millimeters, 12.5 lines, and a thickness of 2.4 millimeters. It has a frequency of 19,800 vibrations per hour, or 2.75 hertz. No seconds hand, so, you know, the smaller frequency really isn't perceptible at all. It has the free-sprung gyromax balance for excellent regulation, therefore bump resistant. It has 26 joules with the bidirectional automatic winding with a support and weight segment oscillating weight in 21 karat gold. What does that mean? Basically, we have 4 joules underneath to specifically support the ring under the rotor to prevent unnecessary collision and friction against the base plate or any other components of the movement. So, in English terms, the rotor on other watches has a tendency to bang around and, you know, very slowly erode away at the movement, which causes issues many, many years down the line. This one, not so much. The joules keep it elevated and within its very specific track, so there's no unnecessary friction, no unnecessary movement, forgive the pun, no literal movement of this rotor outside of its, you know, just basic turning to wind the watch. So fewer maintenance intervals for you on this one. And altogether, this one gives you a 40-hour power reserve. Now on the modern, we have the manufacturer caliber 4302. It's a diameter of 32 millimeters. All right, so quite a bit larger, 14 lines. It has the frequency of 28,800 vibrations per hour, matching that of the higher beat rates of modern watches. All right, it has the, it actually helps for that smoother sweep of that center mounted seconds hand, as you can see there. Certainly perceptible when it comes to the vibrations per hour. All right. It also has more jewels, 32 in fact, featuring the hacking seconds for precise timekeeping and quick set date. It has the bidirectional winding system as seen in the Jumbo as well, but doesn't have that extra support, so this is compensated for with these ceramic rotor bearings and, for long lasting use. So ceramic, very hard to scratch, only really shatters if you put it under extreme pressure, all right? And altogether, this gives you a 70-hour power reserve. Very impressive, much more modern, much more Jumbo actually, when it comes to the power reserve. Very good. You can set this down for just about 3 whole days, almost 3 whole days, and pick it up later with no need to wind the watch, all right? So now, taking a look at the bracelets here, the Jumbo on the left here is all 18 karat pink gold, all right? And is this a point where it can be considered Jumbo? Maybe, when it comes to the span, well, actually not really. The taper of the bracelet also is actually much more than that of the modern Royal Oak. The clasp section actually does measure smaller. So, this is still the smaller watch, the Jumbo, right? The modern is all stainless steel, as you can see underneath this sticker here, right? We can take a look at it on the side here. Brush finishing along every surface, as you would find on the Jumbo as well. So finishing is basically the same. Very high polish along the vertex there with satin brush finishing, and there's also a high polish on these intermediary links, right? Very, very tiny portions where you can see they're reflecting the light very nicely on those tiny parts that you can only really see it when you roll the bracelet, right? Same effect here. I'm not going to remove the sticker from this one, but you get the same exact effect here on the modern Royal Oak, all right? So when it comes to the wearing experience, overall, the Jumbo does actually flare out a little bit, but that's because, well, I don't know, really hard to say, because on the wrist, it has, well, a smaller span than that of the modern. However, looking at the the winding crown, maybe it could be larger than any other watch in its class, but literally any other watch would probably have a smaller crown, but that's such a small aspect. So the little clue in this video, and as well as in the video for the Jumbo itself, is that it was the first Royal Oak ever to be created. Although this is a modern iteration of it, very few changes have been made to this, so it basically retains the same form factor and overall function of the original Royal Oak that helped Audemars Piguet advance and survive through the quartz crisis, and also is arguably the watch to save the mechanical watch industry as a whole. All right, so maybe what you see on your wrist may not be Jumbo in any physical aspect, but considering its history and legacy, I think you'll agree it's not what you can see, but it is what is felt and experienced, and that is what makes it worthy of the name Jumbo. But then that begs the question, why would you want the modern? Well, simple. It has overall better technical specs, and I'm willing to bet that even the screw down crown does give more water resistance, as I've said in this video, more than that of the Jumbo, and the wearability of the bracelet makes it more welcoming on a larger variety of wrists, both small and large, as well as everywhere in between. Now, at a price point that's less than half that of the Jumbo, you can't really go wrong here, or can you? Well, looking at these two side by side, looking at the form factor here, let me actually zoom out a bit. All right, looking at the form factor, the modern is much thicker, noticeably thicker. Even though it's 2 millimeters thickness, it's definitely seeable. 8 millimeters of the Jumbo versus almost 10.8 millimeters of the modern. All right, so very much larger there. Also, when it comes to the flaring of the bracelet, this one flares out a bit more, the modern, as well as the Jumbo, well, not quite as much. The lugs do point a little bit more downward on the modern as compared to the Jumbo, but still, the links themselves still sort of bend a bit more on the modern, so there's not quite as much flaring there. It hugs the wrist a bit better for more smaller wrists and, you know, maybe even larger wrists, but more, how would you say, more tighter fitting, you know, portions. Rather, you know, with the jumbo here, it flares outward and you can't really control it much more than what you see here. It does flare outward, but, you know, again, it's only a 5mm difference. This modern only has a 5mm span greater than that of the jumbo, as you can see in my left hand here, now coming into focus. All right, so looking at these two side by side, again, with all these specs in mind, much easier to tell that the modern is a clear winner in terms of daily use. It's an easy choice for everyday wear watch, much stronger construction than any gold, literally, as gold is softer and more malleable. But when it comes to, you know, special occasions and important events or any other time where you want to assert yourself, the jumbo is the clear winner. All right, so the pink gold gives it a warmth that is balanced against the cold blue dial face. And in terms of color, the complementary color scheme really makes it an absolute winner. All right, well, that does it for this comparison. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Would you choose the jumbo over the modern, or would you choose the modern over the jumbo? Maybe you would want the jumbo in steel. That's certainly an option for you. We have a video for that as well on our channel and website, jazztime.com. And if you'd like to purchase either of these watches, follow the links down in the description below. We'll see you in the next one, and don't forget to subscribe. Helps us out quite a bit. Ring that bell notification so you can be notified when we go live with another video like this one. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.